Howdy. Thought I'd just have a quick word with you before this next interview. The lady who had the sighting with this interview has worked in Central Australia for almost 20 years. She's a youth worker that works with remote Aboriginal communities, highly regarded by the people that she works with, no doubt, and knows her animals. She's seen lots of dingoes and wild dogs, cats, donkeys, camels, you name it. She would have seen it out there in the desert. She's quite knowledgeable, knows the country well, travels from Western Australia all the way across to South Australia, Northern Territory, and everywhere in between. She had a sighting, I think she said it was 2016 when she had her sighting, about 9 years ago, and was blown away by what she saw. And I think she's a very credible witness, and it just adds a little bit more fuel to the fire that is the continual existence of the thylacine on mainland Australia. Don't believe the experts when it comes to the thylacine, because I'm telling you now, they got something to hide. Enjoy. Hello.
Hi Neil.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good, thanks. I was just about to ring you, so thank you for ringing me.
That's okay. I thought I'll get on. I'm working till a bit later today, so I thought I'll get on the front foot.
Awesome. Now, are you okay with me recording this for our YouTube channel?
Yeah.
Yep, cool.
Yep.
People-
My daughter might interrupt sometimes in the background because she's still getting up and ready, but
That's all good.
That's okay. You're going to edit it maybe.
Yeah, no, that's all good. No worries. Everybody's got stuff to do.
Cool.
So I got your email the other day and had a quick read of it, and it sounds very interesting. How long have you been working up in the APY lands?
APY. Look, I've been a remote youth worker out bush for 20 years.
Okay.
Across NT, South Australia and WA. So all across the Kimberley from Broome to Balgo, and from the Northern Territory from as far south as Mutijulu all the way up to Lajamanu, and then in APY since 2019. So I first started working out bush in 2007.
Do you mind telling me what you do?
I'm a youth worker. Well, I'm not anymore. Now I'm a regional manager, but for more than 15 years I was a remote youth worker. So I travelled everywhere, lived in the remote Indigenous communities, delivering youth development programs and case managing young people at risk, and I'd take them out for sports festivals and do, like things with the young women, helping them get their driver's license, Medicare cards, like just full comprehensive youth
Support
program. Yeah, it's been different in lots of different communities, but yeah, running the youth shed or youth centre and program of activities and school holiday programs and case management support and everything. I did that. Probably the expiry date on that kind of work is usually about 12 months to 2 years at the most, but I just absolutely loved it, working in some of the most remote and beautiful places in the country, and yeah, I did it for a very, very long time.
I'm jealous. I don't get jealous very often, but I am now jealous officially. That sounds like an awesome role, and you would have met some amazing people, yeah?
Yeah, it's an awesome role. It's definitely very challenging, like living and working in an isolated area and away from your direct family. I didn't have my daughter until 6 years ago, like pretty late for having a kid. But yeah, no, like it's very challenging, but it's also
very rewarding
tiring,
too.
but a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Lots to learn and lots of things to see and places to go and. I'm a pretty young soul, so it suited me, and on my weekends I'll just head off and take my dog and go out camping somewhere, and yeah, I loved it. Yeah.
That's amazing. On a side note, have you done much work with the Nunkadi?
Yeah, from time to time with the young people, yeah.
Excellent. I saw a show on SBS. I can't find it anywhere online, but it was called Australia by Postcode. And
okay.
This was probably 20 years ago when I came home one night late after drinking at a pub and flicked on the TV, and there was this show, and it was all about Freegon.
Oh, yeah.
And I instantly related to it because, as I told you before in the message, I went there in 1976 with my dad. And back then, it was dirt from Port Augusta. There was no bitumen. It was well before Highway 1 was fully bitumised.
Yeah.
And I just have a very fond recollection of images in my mind from being there and seeing the old traditional people sitting there making boomerangs and woomeras and nulla nullas. And then we took a school building up there with Brambles Transport in 2 halves, and we assembled it there and put it down on stumps. Is that school building still there?
Freegon School is, it might be like one of the buildings that's still there, because Freegon School's obviously bigger now, so they've got like a
community would have grown a fair bit.
Indoor basketball court and other buildings, but there is one that's on stumps, one of the classrooms there.
That's probably it.
To the right as you go in the main gate. Yeah, probably.
That's amazing. I'd love to go back there one day and just see the place, you know, because it was a really influential time in my life, I suppose. I was like 7 years old when we went there. I remember running around in the nick with the Indigenous kids just playing under the buildings and just having a great time. It was awesome. Niggity.
Yeah.
Niggity. I was in the niggity, yeah?
Niggity.
So
my daughter was, I took her to Ernabella when we lived in Ernabella. She was born in Alice Springs. She's only just turned 7, and she spent first couple of years in Ernabella, and then when we moved over to Mutijulu, we were there until she was 3, and then Cooper Pedy till 5, and now down in Adelaide. She's doing school in Adelaide, but she's the first time living in the city, moving to Adelaide.
Yeah, that would have been a big change.
Yeah.
So you're in Adelaide now? You're not up in the country now?
No, I'm in Mimily right now. Because
okay.
I've got a role now where I work a regional manager, so I bloody travel across half of Australia, still travelling, not, located in one community, but across like heaps of different communities I'm working now. So
that's amazing.
I'm here. I'm going to Port Augusta all next week. Just came from a week in Cooper Pedy, and I'm here on APY this week, all week, going to a different community every day because we're going to Ernabella Dance tonight.
Oh, awesome.
Ernabella Dance Festival, and then in Dalkana tomorrow, and then back to Cooper Pedy on Friday, and then we head to Port Augusta and Whyalla for a week. So
I think you have to go through. You have to go through Indalkana to get to Freegon, don't you?
Yeah, if you come from the south.
Yeah.
Once you come off the highway above Marla, you go through. We go past Indalkana, then you get to Mimily, then Freegon. The road's sealed from Freegon to Pukaja now.
Oh, cool.
But not when you first it's sealed for a little bit when you first get to Indalkana, but then it's off road again, and then they've got an APY access upgrade I think it's costing them about $1 million every couple of kilometres, and it's happening very, very slowly, but parts, small sections have got
the worst bits of it, I suppose, where the crossings are and stuff, the creeks.
Yeah, well, we went out to Armada the other day, none of that's been started. It's only really when I was living in Ernabella, they did almost to Ernabella, and it's I do like a 20-minute, but I guess you've got to start somewhere, and now it goes all the way down, so you can travel between Freegon and Ernabella is the bitumen, but you still got to go off-road to get to that part anyway, so, yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. So, yeah, when I watched that show on SBS, it was about the 2 Nunkity fellas, and they were trying to find their successors, so they were going around to different communities, talking to people, to find who they had to pass on the skills and the knowledge to. It was fascinating. It really was. And there was a scene where they'd been to a council meeting up in the northwest somewhere, and they were having a bit of a dig at each other, having a laugh. It was all subtitled in full language, and they were staying in a motel room, and they'd been out travelling, looking at the areas in the bodies of eagles, and they were basically shaman men, yeah? So that's for the listeners. These guys were shaman, and they'd come back to go into their bodies in this motel room, and one of the fellas missed his body and landed on the floor, and the other one was sort of taking the piss out of him, having a laugh because he missed his body when he came back from flying around in the eagle's body. It was amazing. And then,
if you're interested in that, there's a book you can buy.
Okay.
Women's Council, MPY Women's Council, who I worked for, we've got all different teams. So I was in the youth team for Ernabella and Mutijulu, but they have a Ngangkari team. So those elders, those men and women Ngangkaris, they are paid
Yep.
to do that work.
Yeah, they come down to Adelaide and work on whitefellas as well, don't they?
Yeah, they do. There was one from Armada in Adelaide the other day. But there's a book you can buy on the Women's Council website. It's called The Ngangkari of the Central Desert or something. It's a whole book about all the different healers across the MPY region.
I'd love to get it. I'll get a link off you later.
You go on the MPY Women's Council website, and it talks about all those sellers and all those women's and the different
roles they play
have and the different specialties and how it applies to current circumstances and everything. It's a really interesting book.
That'd be great.
I work closely with the Ngangkari team when I was working with the youth team. They were my other favourite team to work with.
Well, now every time I see a wedgie, I yell out Ngangkari because I reckon someone's probably watching me. So let's hear it. Tell me about your sighting for the sake of let's getting this down on the record. What happened?
Well, it was a while ago, obviously, like it's 2025 now, and this happened in 2016.
Okay.
2016, 9 years ago. And at the time, I was living and working in Balgo community, which is another very, very, very remote community, 4 hours south of Halls Creek, and 12 hours northwest of Alice Springs. Well, it's actually in Western Australia.
Okay.
But it's it's only about 30k from the
border.
NT-WA border.
Yep.
Yeah. So I regularly would drive from Alice Springs to Halls Creek. Like the total drive is 18 hours.
Yep.
And it's the entire length of the Tanami track.
Yep.
And because I lived out there, the Tanami track was basically my driveway, that was the way in and out. And I'm having trouble pinpointing what time of year it was, but I think it might have been around July.
Okay.
Maybe July or September.
Based on your movements, I suppose.
Yeah, just trying to think of what I was doing in that year, but I think it might have been more likely August or September, thinking now. But yeah, I was coming back to Balgo from Alice Springs, and there's an area there near the border, so you go through like Tanami Downs. There's an old like cattle station.
Yep.
Yes, honey?
Can I just watch it and see the
Maybe in a minute, but I want you to get dressed, please.
Okay.
So coming through that area, and to the north of there is like the Kidman property. So
yes.
It's this massive big property. It's called Ruby something or other. And then like halfway between Balgo and Halls Creek is Wolf Creek Crater.
Yep.
Like 2 hours or so, Wolf Creek Crater. So that whole area is like really remote, and the closest community on the other side of the border is Lajamanu. So I was on the NT side of the border, but very close to WA border, coming up the Tanami track. And I saw the animal in front of me. I was in the car, didn't hear it. Saw it. I wasn't like I just had, normal headlights, because I had big spotties on the top of my car as well.
Yeah, you'd need them out there.
So I had them, and I had, so I had my normal high beams on, and I had my spotlights on as well.
You're in a four-wheel drive,
I
obviously.
Saw the animal run. Yeah, the animal was like running alongside and then in front across the road, but really close, like not at the not like not outside of the area that was lit.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
So it was, 20 metres in front?
Yeah, probably, yeah, maybe that.
Yep.
I'm just trying to visualise, maybe even closer than that.
Okay.
Because I was going really slowly. There's heaps of animals out there, wallabies and kangaroos and everything. And
camels and stuff.
I was going quite slowly on the road, trying to avoid, denting my car. But yes, saw it running across the road, along to my right hand side, and then across the road. And full-on plagued me ever since about what it was.
Okay.
Like for a long time, like this is for like 9 years. I've been describing to friends and stuff how I saw this strange animal out on the Tanami, and I still don't know what it was that I saw. And when I got back, I was describing it to some people, saying like, "What on earth was that?" And some people tried to convince me that it was one of those Tanami like wildcats, like feral cats.
Sure. These are
And they said,
Aboriginal
no,
people?
they grow really big. Yeah, some people.
Yep.
And some other people. Like I talked to a lot of people when I first got back because I was a bit freaked out about it all, to be honest. Then I actually went and looked up, like, how big do these wild cats actually grow? And I've seen in the Northern Territory they say, some of them are, like more than a metre and really high and everything. But that's not what I saw.
Okay.
What I saw was bigger than that, longer than that, and the wrong shape to be a cat. Like, there's no way what I saw was a cat.
So describe what it actually looked like.
Okay, so it looked to me like the body of a greyhound. Yep. That kind of thin, like drawn up behind the ribs.
Yep.
To me it looked like a mix between a cat and a dog. The conclusion I came to was that if there's wild dogs out there and there's big wild cats, they must have bred together and come up with this animal, because it was like a grey-brown colour. I am 176 centimetres tall. I'd say if I was out of the car, it probably would have come up to nearly the middle of my thigh. So probably, I'm standing up now, a little bit above
your knee.
Yeah, but maybe another 10 centimetres on top of that. So I don't know what that height would be. Like maybe about... How tall are you? I don't know. Maybe about 80 or 90 centimetres.
That's 3 feet. That's reasonably tall.
Yeah, well, it was big. It was big, like bigger than a medium-sized dog. Like I consider my Staffy I had for years a medium-sized dog. Like,
so would you say Labrador size, maybe?
A large dog, hey?
Labrador size?
Yes, that's what I would say.
Okay.
Labrador, shorter German Shepherd, like that kind of size, not the huge dogs, but like that height.
Yep. Now, was there anything particular about its locomotion that stood out at all?
Yeah, so here you go, just for 20 minutes only. So grey, brown, that height, looked like a mixture between a dog and a cat. Ribs drawn up, but then at the back, the tail was not like a fox or not like a cat, but it was like a kangaroo tail, really, sort of, like straight.
Yep.
Only a slight curvature. Wasn't really like bouncing around or anything, considering like the motion, like how fast it was going, but like thin and came to a point, but not super thin, like I would say like maybe 2 centimetre diameter at the base and then to a point. More like a wallaby tail than a fox or a cat or a dog tail.
Yep, I get what you mean.
So the tail was what was like, definitely was like, that's not a cat, not a fox, so a thin pointed tail and quite long, like maybe a little bit shorter than the length of my arm, It had stripes on the back, half of it.
Yep.
From like probably about halfway along the ribs.
Yep.
To the back. I didn't see it from above, so I don't know if they went over its back or anything, but had like definite stripes that reminded me of a cat, but obviously it's not a cat. And but I wouldn't describe them as like really super defined. I wouldn't describe them as super defined.
So they were sort of broader?
They were sort of, I don't know, I would say like 3 or 4 centimetres wide, getting thinner as they went down the bottom, but they were patchy. Like they weren't, like they were kind of like a bit like mangy-ish. Like, I don't know about mangy, but like patchy, like
So they weren't
like,
real clearly defined, like a typical
no,
thylacine you'd see in a picture from Hobart or
no,
something.
yeah, it wasn't like that.
It was
No,
a bit
it
more
wasn't like that. It was
vaguer.
like faded,
Yep.
like more like sort of faded and patchy in spots as well.
Okay.
It wasn't like this perfect, stripes, but definitely on the second half of the body, and definitely looking like a bit more patchy and faded than like really clear standing out stripes.
Okay. Now, it
And then
turned.
the head,
Yeah, I was just about to ask you about the head. When it turned and went across the road, what did you notice then?
as it was running across the road, it was on a 90-degree angle to me, and it turned and looked as it was running.
Okay.
I know, it just struck me like weird because I don't know, I've never really seen an animal actually do that before, but still be kind of going forward and turn and look, but to me it just looked weird, the angle that it turned its head on. Maybe it was because it got a fright. It doesn't normally do that, I don't know, but it turned its head like on a strange angle as it was running for a second there, which is why I know that it's got it would surprise me because it has a broad head. It had a broad head, and that's when I was describing, and also fast, very fast, going super fast, like galloping.
Okay.
Like,
Would you say that the head was dog-like or cat-like?
dog-like for sure.
Okay.
Like, I was trying to describe it to my friend because I've been talking this for a while, trying to figure out all these years. And I was trying to describe to my friend, this is what came to the report. I was trying to describe to my friend, I said, I've seen some strange things over the years working out bush. And I said, but one of the strangest things I ever saw was this animal out on the Tanami. And I was trying to describe it to her. And I was saying it's like a cross between a dog and a cat, big, with a pointy tail that was going fast, super fast, like in a kind of gallop, like legs together, and I said like a body like a greyhound, but greyhounds have got really long, thin heads. And I said its head was more broad, thick. And I said, like, that's what I said to her, like, do you remember the old, like, Tasmanian tigers, like how they've got that kind of body that draws up? I was describing to her the body, like trying to describe the body of it, and then I was going to tell her, but with a thicker, broader head on it. Trying to describe, like, how staffies and that have thick, broad heads.
Sure.
Not that thick, but stocky, wide head. And I pulled up the picture to show her an image of what a greyhound, if it was half a cat, looked like, of this old thing. And I was looking at it, and I'm like, oh, I thought Tasmanian tigers had really thin heads. And I was looking at it, and I'm like, that looks actually like what I saw.
So one of the subtle differences between male and female thylacines is that the males generally have a broader, buffier head, and the females have a slightly more pointier head.
Well, I didn't know that. I don't know anything about the animal, but when I pulled up the picture, I was like, oh, Tasmanian tigers have got fat heads. I didn't know that, and I was looking at it, and I'm like, that's actually like what I saw. That's what I saw, but but the stripes were different.
Yeah, sure. Now,
Picture.
some of the WA reports we get, oddly enough, do have broader stripes rather than thin strip stripes.
And do they get, like, I've been reading about it since I was thinking about this again the other day. I read that sometimes they can get faded as they get older as well.
Yeah, and no stripes at all has been reported, but definitely not a fox, definitely not a cat, and definitely not a dingo. So
Definitely not none of them. I've seen heaps of them. I don't,
yeah, you would have seen dozens of dingoes and probably hundreds of foxes, yeah?
Yeah, I've seen every kind of animal I think you can see. We just picked up a thorny devil off the road. Like, I know these animals like the back of my hand. Like, it's been decades, like I've been out here a long time, and I go out remote areas. I've been out in the middle of the the Stansmore Ranges in the back of the Gibson, and I've been out with elders on dreaming tracks. Like,
Yeah, you've seen a lot of it.
I've seen a lot. I'm not like, just someone who's gone on their first road trip and seen a cat and been like, oh, that's a, like I've been out there for a long time and out here for a long time, and I've never, ever seen anything like that. And I got to the point where I was thinking, bloody, I've seen a ghost or something, like, like I never,
A living ghost,
what
yeah.
was that?
So,
what was that?
going back to when it actually looked at you, do you recall anything about its eye shine?
No, I don't know.
Yeah, that wasn't a
Can't
feature
remember.
that stood out at the time, sort of thing, with what you were experiencing.
No, can't remember that. It was just like brief. It was more like, my surprise at how fast it was, and the way that it was like a fox when they run, their legs go cross, right? Like, I don't know how they do it, but like their one front leg goes forward at the same time as the other one goes back or something, and the same but this one was like, it was going fast. It was doing like a gallop.
Yeah, like a horse
Galloping.
gallops. So
Yeah.
might make you
like
feel
it
a bit more
really fast.
a bit more reassured is that in Tasmania back in the day, when these things were still pretty abundant, a lot of the people back in those days, they all had horses. Horses were their tractor, yeah, and their car.
Yeah.
So they had good animal husbandry skills, and they knew horses very well. And a lot of the old timers reported these things having a rotary gallop like a horse.
Yeah, well, what's that thing that I read about? What's a bipedal leap? I don't know what that is or what it looks like.
A bipedal leap is, these things are a marsupial like a kangaroo, and they have the ability to hop like a kangaroo, and there are quite a few reports of these things standing up on their hindquarters and hopping for a good 10, 20 metres and then going down on all fours and taking off on all fours as well. So that's what the bipedal hop is, because a biped has 2 feet and a quadruped has 4 feet. So these can do both.
Oh, well, I don't know. I just saw a very powerful, like, bounding gallop, but 4 legs on all fours. But I don't know how fast they go, but this one was going like really fast.
Would have you been doing 40 kilometres an hour, say? You said you're going a bit slow, so how fast were you going?
I would have been doing at least 40, like I would have been doing, I reckon, closer to 60.
Yep.
And because I do quite slowly at night.
Yep,
I
for all the right reasons.
80, I never go more than 80 at night, but I've done 70, 80 along the Tanami. I've had like kangaroos and that, like they've been hopping up along next to the car and then gone to nearly overtake me in front, and I'm going, oh shit, like I know they go pretty fast. Like I've seen them going along next to me at about 70.
Yep.
When they get real big ones, then they get up and they're going along, and that's what surprised me about it, was because to me, it looked like it was going as fast as one of them.
Yep.
And the other night when I was talking about this, I looked it up, how fast does a thylacine goes, and it reckons about 30k an hour at top speed, but I don't know. The thing, what I saw was doing, I reckon, faster than that.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That's only one person's observation, really. And this is... we're flying blind researching this animal because no one ever bothered to research it when it was abundant,
and that's what I was thinking about.
So it's all new.
It having a stiff neck. I mean, to me, like when I was more surprised at like the tail and the animal and like the angle of the head. Like I wasn't looking at really its eyes at all.
Sure, because you're in shock the entire time. So
it was a surprise.
How long in seconds do you think your sighting lasted for while you were driving along, maybe?
Let me think. Maybe 10 seconds?
That's pretty good. That's a pretty good look at it.
Because it was coming along next to me before it went across.
Yep. And it was about 10 to 20 metres in front of you when it crossed the road.
Yeah.
And so it got in front of you, or did you slow down because you saw it?
I slowed down.
And let it pass you?
It went across. It was going fast. It was happening really quickly, but yeah. I noticed something off to the side and I thought it was a kangaroo.
Yeah,
I slowed
sure.
down and then it went across in front of me and I'm like, oh, that's... what is that? That sort of kangaroo. What is that? And just the shape of its head was what freaked me out the most. The broad head and the pointy tail. Like, I still had another probably 5 hours. I had a lot of driving still in front of me.
Yeah.
And I was like, the whole trip I was just like kind of
Scratching
like
your head.
freaked out. Because I was thinking, what on earth was that? Like some kind of devil dog cat out in the desert. Like, yeah. I mean, it's 9 years later, I'm still trying to figure out what it was. I still haven't seen anything else like it.
Well,
still out in the desert.
You might not know what it was, but you certainly know what it wasn't, yeah?
Yeah, I know what it wasn't, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good. That's, confirmation in your own mind of what you know it definitely wasn't, because you've seen all of those other candidates so many times.
Yeah, I never even thought of it could be like an animal that's considered extinct or anything until I was having this conversation with my friend the other night and saw that picture of the head, and I was like, oh, this thing's got a broad head like what I saw, and then I started looking into them, and the more I was reading, I was thinking this actually matches a lot with what I saw. And then I said, well, this is in 2017, and I was looking up, is it possible that in some of these really remote areas, and I didn't even know that they were on the mainland at one point. I was like, when I pointed it out to my friend, I'm like, oh, the Tasmanian, thinking they were down there. And then I was like, when I saw it and I put in a search, I'm like, have they ever been on the mainland? And I saw, oh, actually they were. That was not to my knowledge before this last week.
Three times.
I saw there's a spate of sightings.
Exactly. There's 3 times as many sightings. Yep. There are 3 times as many sightings on the mainland as what there are in Tasmania to this day. It just keeps happening more and more and more on the mainland because there are more thylacines on the mainland than there are in Tasmania. That's just a simple fact that science doesn't want to accept because they've got other agendas, yeah?
Yeah, well, they're probably pretty smart. They probably don't want to be found, but, like, I didn't realise there was a spate of sightings after that. I was like, oh, people have reported these in the Northern Territory, and I was looking up, like, when was it? And I saw that there was some mob that went out in 2017 trying to find them, and I was like, that was the year after. Like, I didn't report it. I just I don't know, kept going with my thing, thinking
doing what you got to do, yeah.
Because I didn't know what I'd seen, so there's nothing to report. But now looking back, I see there was a bunch of reportings around that same time, and as you know, Tanami is a very, very remote area.
It sure is. Well, the McDonald Ranges around Alice Springs are actually a men's business story, and it's all about thylacines, yeah?
Oh, I didn't know that. My daughter was born there, but I only know the caterpillar dreaming story.
Okay. Well, I had a lady from up there. She couldn't tell me any of it because she doesn't know it, but she told me what she could tell me. She lives in Port Lincoln now, but she said all my family, all the men know the stories, and if I can get one of my uncles or brothers to talk to you, you might get some information out of them. But that whole area is a men's business story, and it's all thylacine related. So the other thing too that might help you feel a bit more confident is that about 2 months ago now, we had a fresh sighting from some Indigenous ladies up near Kakadu, just south of Kakadu, and they had a sighting in broad daylight of a juvenile. There are dozens of paintings of them in Kakadu and Arnhem Land as well. We had another sighting a couple of years ago from another Indigenous fella up that way of another very rare native marsupial, which is also meant to be extinct, but that's the marsupial lion. And a lot of our sightings do come from Western Australia. They're both historical and modern recent sightings as well. So, and that whole state, Western Australia, would probably have the biggest population of thylacines in Australia, I would say, currently. There would be more than likely thousands of them there, but I'm a wacko for saying this stuff because I'm not a scientist. But based on sightings and the area that the animals are spotted in, they occur in every kind of habitat the mainland presents.
That's interesting because my heritage is Aboriginal, Chinese, and English, and my grandmother's side of my family is from Wallenby, so Darkinyong mob, which is inland from Newcastle there.
Yep.
But I've been working with the desert communities, for a long time, but I've never heard anything like from where I'm from.
Yep.
Around Yengo.
Yep.
Yengo National Park
Yep.
and all that. Yeah, that's where. But I've never heard any like stories or anything animal thing. Not to say there isn't, but like just through my family, like knowledge and stories, I've never heard anything from that area there. But I've definitely like seen only in this last week that I saw the rock art and that up in Arnhem Land and that. And when I was reading about it, I saw some kids in Alice Springs told the teacher, "No, we've seen that one. That one's not extinct."
Yeah, you found that story too. I found that one years ago online. That story. That's a great one.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. But even like I can tell you, like, from working in the community and stuff, like, we're always trying to go out bush and trying to go out and do culture trips. But the amount of actual times in the year that people have the resources, even though you're in that remote area, to head out to different sites, unless it's part of a job, like a ranger job or this and that, like the amount of people people actually really getting out on country and staying somewhere for a week or
there's
this
nowhere
and that,
near
rather
as
than
much
just
as
day
it
trip.
should
There's
be.
those whole vast tracts of land out there that, we do the dreaming tracks down to the Stansmore Ranges, and there can be like 2 to 3 years in between those cultural journeys out there where just there's just huge amounts of land where just no one's going there. Unless, they might make a trip out for mining, they do one of them geological excursions or whatever, but like it wouldn't surprise me anything you can find out there, to be honest, because no one's there, no one's going there regularly.
We did a documentary about 8 years ago now, and we spoke to some Adyamatna people in the Flinders Ranges in South Australia, and they're very much a living part of their culture still, and they've never stopped talking about them because they're still part of their ongoing culture. And they had sightings that were recent, within one family. That was Regina McKenzie, who helped us out with our doco, and she had several sightings, and her daughter had sightings separate from her as well. And they call it Muddercurly up there, but they also talk of the Indracurly as well, which is the marsupial lion. So, if they're still talking about them, that means that they're still a living part of their culture, essentially. So, there's probably someone in the groups of all the people out there, and you would probably know thousands of blackfellas out there that would know the names of these animals still, and would probably tell you if you found the right person to ask, I'd say.
I can probably ask someone and probably get that answer tonight.
Probably. But they'll have a word for it, because I've got friends up in Kakadu, and they've got a word for the animal. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. But they still talk about it because it's still there. They know it's there in country, but it's no big deal to them because they're a part of the country just like they are, It's just a given.
Surprised me now. I just wasn't aware until the last week that it was an animal that existed outside of Tasmania. I think that's like a common misconception.
It's a myth that was created after the last one died in captivity. Prior to that, it was called a native hyena or a marsupial wolf. And then suddenly, when the last one allegedly died in captivity in 1936, the word Tasmanian tiger started getting thrown around a lot more by the media.
Well, that's interesting. I can understand why it actually was called a native hyena, because I think I mentioned in my description that's one of the words that I used about the way that it looked around its shoulders when it was running.
Yeah, a bit stiff and awkward.
That hunch, kind of, not hunch, but something odd about the top of the shoulder being out of proportion to the bottom of the paw that makes you think of it. The front, makes you
I know what you're talking about. The front legs are shorter than the back legs when they stand still. And so, because the front legs are essentially arms that have evolved to run on all fours.
That's right. That's why it looks weird when it gallops, because
Correct.
It's not the front. That's exactly right. The front legs are not as long as the back legs, which means that when it gallops, it doesn't create that same pattern that you see when a horse goes, and it's a little bit like a kangaroo, but kangaroos don't put their full front legs down, they're just bounding. But if they were going to try and do that, and that would what it would look like, that's what I saw. So that's all right. That makes sense.
Excellent description. Excellent. Look, by all means, get back in touch with me if you've got any questions.
Yeah.
And if you find out any other information, like traditional names for this animal, that would be really appreciated if you can come up with some of that and the correct spelling. I'm reasonably fluent with with saying a lot of Aboriginal words. I worked for Nunkawar and Yunti in Adelaide for quite a few years.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I was a driver there. Yeah, so I met people from all over Australia when I had that job. It was a really fascinating job. And if I was doing this research back then, I probably would know a lot more than what I do now, but that's okay. Time's, everything happens when it's meant to, I suppose.
Yeah.
But I really appreciate you coming forward and giving me your information. It's fantastic. And I'd love to get back to Freegon one day, so if you can flick me a message on who I should chat to about getting permission to do that, that would be awesome.
Oh, well, I guess it depends what you want to do, but you got to get a permit to come out. So you can get one off the APY website. You can apply for an individual permit.
Okay.
You need to provide your...
reasons.
Why you want to come into community, who you'll be visiting, and also since they had the Royal Commission, if you haven't got a South Australian working with children check, you need to provide the APY board with your criminal history, national criminal check.
Sure.
To go with your permit. But,
yep. That wouldn't be an issue.
When you look to come up or whatever, we come up here all the time because we've got a partnership with the board and across the communities here. But I don't know if I know that you can just jump online and apply for an individual permit. It costs about $30, and you've got to provide your crim check. But I'm not sure what reasons they allow for entry. I've come up here to visit friends and stuff because I used to live here, but maybe you I don't know.
I'll work it out.
Let me know when you've worked out when you're coming, and I'll tell you if I'm up there at the same time and put you down as a volunteer or something.
No worries, that'll be fine. No, I've always wanted to go back there because it was just such an impressionable age when we went there. And I remember they actually did a big, I'll use the word corroboree, it's probably not the correct word, but they had a big dance and sing when we bought this school building up there because they were still very traditional people back in the 70s. And it was still very fresh. The mission had shut down and they were now a community, and it might have still been a mission back then, I can't recall, but all there was a couple of houses, a little humpy shop that sold basic general store kind of goods, and that was it. It was very basic community back then, so we were kind of the pioneer white fellas that brought up the first school building, I suppose. So it was a really impressionable time, and I've always had this idea that I need to go back there one day for some reason. So I'll think of a good reason and have a crack.
If you've got a date that you put aside in your calendar,
yep.
Just let me know and I'll
see what you can do.
If it lines up with what we're doing, yep.
No worries, that'd be great. Awesome. Well, what I'll do is I'll get this edited off in the next few days, and I'll send you the link to have a listen, all right?
Okay, no worries.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thank you, Neil.
Cheers. Stay in touch.